Let me ask you, it seems that everyone is bearish, and we see a 4% underweight holding on institutional investors, 11% for hedge funds. People talk about it like oil's never coming back, but you think not only the industry, but the prices are going to come back.
Absolutely. So our view is three-pronged. One is supply in North America, the second is supply internationally, and the third is demand. So in North America, we've seen the rig count collapse about 60%. We think North American production will roll over in the second half of this year. So we'll start the year, where we started the year about 9 million barrels per day. Internationally, we expect outages in various markets around the world, mostly places like Russia, parts of Africa, and Southeast Asia. And then on the demand side, demand actually has been increasing significantly both in the U.S. and in China recently. So demand forecasts for this year have gone from 900,000 barrels a day of demand growth to 1.5 million barrels a day of demand growth.
Huge.
Why are you in the minority? Why has investor sentiment shifted so far and doesn't seem to be making its way back?
Sure. Well, I think a couple things. I think number one is the absolute collapse we saw last year that came kind of out of nowhere. Part of it was lack of OPEC cohesion. Part of it was just the oversupply we had in the market. I think secondarily, there is a dogmatic view here in the marketplace that we need only 1,000 to 1,100 rigs in the U.S. to support the market, which we think is wrong. And we think that we need actually probably 1,400, 1,500 rigs in the U.S. And so we see a recovery starting in the North American markets in the second half of this year.
So soon, I mean, where do you see the price of oil going with that three-pronged backing to your bullish view?
So we're looking at Brent at $75 per barrel by the end of this year, and probably WTI at around $70 a barrel.
Where do prices need to be to create a tipping point in investor sentiment?
Well, I think if we get another $10 in the oil price, that will create the tipping point. I think we've lost probably $7, $8 in the last, call it 3 or 4 weeks, and we need probably 10 to come back where sentiment will force people to chase into the energy group. Right now, you have tech, you have healthcare, they're doing fine, and so I think you have generalist investors that are saying, you know what, I don't worry about energy. It doesn't matter to me.
So on the stock side, you need a $10 rebound.
To change sentiment.
What about in the industry? Where do investors need to be to say, oh, I need to start putting more wells in the ground?
Well, I think we're actually there at this point. Above 60 really on WTI, and mid-60s to high 60s on Brent, and we're actually at those kind of levels. So we've been bouncing around that for the last 3 or 4 months now. I think we'll be in those levels here in the near term. We're already seeing activity pick up in the U.S. We saw a couple of rigs added last week. The rig count, I think we'll see 100 rigs added to the U.S. rig count by the end of this year.
All right, let's say we believe you.
Sure.
What names are you most bullish on?
So by far Halliburton. Number one, now I would buy Baker Hughes to buy Halliburton Nuco. You get a 10% discount there. Land drillers like Patterson UTI, Precision Drilling, and the pressure pumpers. So Calfrac, Trican to the Canadians, and C&J Energy Services. Those are our favorites.
What kind of time horizon would one need if they were making these type of investments?
Well, I think just 6 months. I think we'll see a massive pickup in these stocks in the next 6 months.
So just DCA in until the end of the year, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, interesting stuff. I mean, I've noted how bearish people are, and it has an effect on everything from rig count here to the political situation around the world. And it just seems that no one's willing to stray from the kind of herd mentality.
Keep in mind, everybody was bearish in January and February. We were still saying 75 by year end. So oil was at 50 at that point. Oil went all the way up to the high 60s on Brent. And so everybody stayed bearish there. We're now bearish again. So we've kind of gone back and forth from being bearish to bullish to bearish. And we're back in the bearish camp. I'm perfectly comfortable. My colleagues at Evercore are perfectly comfortable being in the non-consensus right now.
Well, guess what? You're not completely alone. Guess who else is bullish? The one and only T. Boone Pickens.
There you go.